Let's go.
Hi.
Hi.
Wow, I mean, I'm counting down the weeks now. Like, we are 8 weeks out of circuit breaker. Week 9, or rather, week 1.
Week 1 of phase 1.
Honestly, I just am really happy to be visiting my parents, and I'm gonna visit my grandmother after this. But otherwise, not much has changed. Seriously, for me, but I think as a parent, it is very different.
A lot of my friends actually went back to work, which they shouldn't. They went back to work
Just to get out of the house, is it?
Yeah, I mean, they are allowed to get out. I think there are some regulations, right? So a lot of them went back to. I think a lot of them cannot wait to get out of the house. So to these people, I hope you guys are taking care of yourselves and the people around you. Please wear your mask. Please social distance, and please don't go if it's unnecessary. Zoom is still there. You can still do this. I personally didn't leave my house lah. I was working at home, and so that's fighting for the adults. For the children, some children are heading back to school. My son is K2 this year, so he is supposed to go back to school, but we didn't, because he's preschooler. So we are deciding to keep him at home for another few days to basically observe what the situation is going to be like. Unfortunately, for a lot of primary school and secondary school students, they don't have this opportunity. Basically, it's compulsory to go back to school, and a lot of parents are actually unhappy about that.
Sorry, I just
rough one, right?
let out an eye roll.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, I saw Jamie Yo posted something a couple of days back that I thought quite resonated. Basically, I think she said that she understands why there was this period of like stay home and all that, but when does it cross the line from let's just all stay in so we don't get sick to people are going crazy like mental health wise at home. Right, and then she went on to talk about like how difficult it is for her to get her children to wear masks, but that's not the point that I'm trying to make. The point that I want to make is, I think for school, honestly, kids, especially in primary school, I think they're at such a formative stage in their life where, nothing is gonna take the place, in my opinion, of like actual learning with their peers in school. And couple that with the fact that for home-based learning, I'm not a parent, but a lot of my friends say they're having trouble. Some of them just give up because they have their own work to do, and then the kids are not cooperative, right? So then after a while, I just don't do lah, And I feel like kids, if they don't go back to school soon, they're gonna miss out on key development milestones and key development like that. They are because the body, there are certain optimal time that certain parts of your brain and even your physicality is developed, and they're gonna miss out on that. Not going back to school.
For sure.
I've spoken to friends who are teachers. Teachers who teach in classes, they say not that much change, as in they have to wear a mask and all that. A good friend is a PE teacher, and she said it's a real pain because she said 10 minutes to clean the equipment, 10 minutes of PE, and then another 10 minutes to clean the equipment again. So I think they're really, really stepping up efforts, and there's a lot of effort to like split the levels.
What do you think about this? Because the issue here is basically like the parents don't have a choice of whether, because you can fail your school year if you keep your child at home instead of bringing them out. Yeah.
Okay, so
so basically like they are saying like, oh no, you don't have a choice, like because education is like primary and secondary education is compulsory in Singapore, right? So like you have to bring them back to school. Even you as a parent, like you don't feel comfortable doing it, but you don't really have a choice. So that's actually my question. I mean, I know all the steps that are taken, and I know it's a new norm, and I know it's not going to snap into place immediately. It's going to take time, and people have to get used to the new regulations and how things are going to be slower and everything. I understand that, but my question to you is that like the lack of choice. Like basically, parents, like you don't have a choice. You have to send your kids to school, or they will flunk the year.
I honestly think that kids and parents, like if you give them too much choice on this, just from a practical point of view, how are you going to move the curriculum forward? And so unless you do have a choice, there is a choice.
You take the consequence, right?
Yeah. So as with everything in life, so you don't want to send your kid to school because you're being overprotective or whatever, then you let them flunk, lor. They let them flunk, then even though they're 7 years old.
Flunk the year? I don't even
Yeah,
think
then next year, as an 8-year-old, you go back to primary 1, no? If that's what you want for
are we
your
allowed
kid
to do
because
that?
you are being...
Maybe. I don't even know if we're allowed
Yeah,
to
of
do
course,
that.
but your kid will be at the losing...
Yeah,
you
but
will lose
because
the whole year,
I want to stop my kids. Okay, I'm not okay with that lah. Honestly speaking.
I know lah, I know. That's why
Yeah,
I
because
quite sure
I'm
you
like
feel very differently on this.
why are you taking away that right from us as parents to judge what's safe and what's not? Because you don't know us.
Okay.
You don't know my kid. My kid could be very sickly. You know what I mean? My kid, I know my kid. I know my kid. If something happens, maybe pre-existing condition, maybe or just as me as him, is our comfort level. I feel this is a choice that we have to allow the parents and the
You have
children
a
to make.
choice.
We don't have a choice. If I go to school,
then your kid just flunks and
also
goes
if
back
I
1 year
skip school
long.
for a month, I have to flunk the year, and that's fair.
No, okay,
you
so
think that's
I'm
fair?
asking you I think that, what is the alternative? So the curriculum goes on, but let's say you and
I study
let's say
on my
30%
own.
of parents.
Yeah.
So
I do home-based study. I study
correct.
on my
So the
own.
teachers have to do special home base just because there are like extra work for the teachers just because there's this bunch of parents that like, oh, I don't want my kids to go back to school. I mean, I feel like we have to balance like paranoia with practicality, is my opinion. Because if not, it's going to be extremely disruptive to the entire school system.
I know. I don't agree. I don't agree at all.
I
think it's a systematic
I don't agree with you at all.
To me, it's like it's a choice. You know, like what if I, as a parent, I decide to take on the teaching myself? Like whatever syllabus
you have a choice, what?
I don't have a choice. That's what I'm saying. I have to flunk a year, and that you think that's a fair consequence? Wow, you don't think that's heavy-handed?
I think that you have made a choice that is very extreme to deny your kid of going to school, and then you make the choice like that. So that means you don't prioritize education.
Oh, I don't think yours is an unpopular opinion. I hear you, but I cannot agree with you.
I'm very curious. Okay, guys, why don't you tell us what you think? I really am curious. I think Andy is curious as well. Like, you know, whether you think that parents should be given the choice to let their kids not go back to school and to decide, for parents to be the ones to decide when their kids go back to school. Yeah,
because I think we are at opposite sides of this argument.
Extremely. I think for a lot of things, like, this one, I think we're really on extreme ends of it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's move on.
Okay. Yeah, right. Okay, I mean...
actually, so far, the reopening has been quite quiet. Like, everything seems to be okay. But, I mean, it's too early to tell. But everything
nothing much is open except school. Sorry.
A lot of workplaces are open.
So I went back. I have a hot desk in a co-working space, and I went back yesterday, and it was
empty.
Zero.
Oh, really?
Zero.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I think unless bosses have stipulated that, okay, maybe some of your friends are happy to go back to the office. I think a lot of bosses still prefer to have their employees work from home, and I think there are people who also feel like you, which I don't think is wrong, that like actually if you have no business being in the office, you shouldn't go lah.
Yeah, I feel so lah. I feel so everybody has a responsibility. Basically, you know what you have to do and what you don't have to do. It's you have to make that choice. Like you have to be the responsible person. So let's move on.
I think that actually the reopening was also overshadowed by stuff going on in the US.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, you know, we've always talked about international issues, and we found that as a whole, Singaporeans have never been that interested. But I think this is something that is at a level that it cannot be ignored, right? So
for those of you who don't know what we are talking about, I think this link is quite valuable. I found from New York Times, 8 minutes and 46 seconds of how George Floyd was killed in police custody. I think that explains it very clearly, like what really happened.
It's quite graphic lah. Okay, I actually couldn't watch it.
Oh really?
I couldn't.
Okay.
I read the article on it, and I teared up, and then I watched a bit of the video, and I really couldn't. So I mean, I will say that it is very graphic. You don't have to watch the whole thing. There are a lot of articles on it if you can't take it in video. But I think the interesting thing around this is, to be honest, like I'm actually really disappointed that Trump is even in power. Although I feel like the only silver lining of this is that people are actually realizing that this is a really bad idea. There was a video released by the police chief to Trump to tell him to keep your mouth shut if you cannot be constructive. I think the police are also suffering because people are like, you know, I mean, it's human nature lah. They're like, all your policemen are dogs and like you're brute. There are definitely like really terrible people in there, and the culture is not great. But I don't think all policemen should be.
But you know, like Chris Rock also like released. He said like along this line. Don't quote me, but like I know it's tough. I know police is tough, it's dangerous. But some jobs you just can't have bad apples. You just can't say like 1 out of 100 pilots are like, oh, you know, 1 out of 100. That's an okay odds to have. You can't have one bad apple pilot. So he said like it's the same for police. You just can't have a single bad apple. It has to work towards that. So when I read that, I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. And to me, there's this whole issue, what really took my attention is that it's not a US thing anymore, because the protest is everywhere. You can't stop and realize like how serious and systematic this problem really is. For us, we still feel very distant. The fact that you see like it's happening everywhere in the world, it's like, oh wow, like let's really look at this and what's happening here. What are the systems that we have to change to basically curb this like racism. Like, it has been such a word that it's been so common. Everybody just throw the word racism that you almost just kind of don't even listen to it anymore.
It's true. I mean, I watched this video by Trevor Noah. He said that what has been violated is that these policemen, in doing this to Floyd, they were destroying the contract they thought that they signed with society. Because as you say, like, I mean, for police, you can't have a bad hat, right? And you sign a contract with society to say that, like, for example, policemen are supposed to guard law and order and to help keep you safe. And it's the people who are supposed to keep you safe who have actually done this. I think that is a huge part of why people are extra enraged by this. It's also an interesting conversation. Former Miss Universe Malaysia, her name is Samantha Katie James, and she said to the black people, relax, take it as a challenge. It makes you stronger. You chose to be born as a colored person in America for a reason, to learn a certain lesson. Accept it as it is. Till now, hunger and poverty still exist. It is what it is. It is inevitable. Best you can do is to remain calm, protect heart, don't allow it to crumble. So I thought there was just ramblings of someone trying to act deep and compassionate. And these kind of things irritate me. Like, not just to do with this issue, but like when I guess people try to act deep and compassionate. I don't think she meant it in a racist way. Personally, I don't think she meant it in a racist way. But Henry Golding, this thing blew up because Henry Golding called her out on it. Like, his point was because she is someone who has a following, and he wants people to know that this is an important issue, and you can't just, it's not okay to just sort of dismiss it and say, oh, hang there, you know, you chose to be born black, stay strong. He called her a racist, which I don't agree, but I think it was really a dumb thing to say. If he was really harsh, let me quote Henry Golding, I'm sure as hell not going to stand idly by as some 2-bit celeb in Malaysia spout some horrible shit.
I don't think it's harsh lah. I don't think it's harsh. I think it's called for.
No, I think it's good that he called her out. But I think honestly she's being more like ignorant than racist.
Do you read her apology? It's quite a read, man. Apology!
The apology was bad.
Apology. Let me find it.
Yeah, let me look for it. You read her apology.
Okay. I do hear you. I'm sorry. I know you're hurting. I know it's unfair. I'm not in your shoes to understand this fully. Furthermore, you asked me to explain what I meant by black people choose to be black. Is that throughout my journey, I have learned that we are more than just this temporary physical body like an avatar, merely a tiny speck of dust in this vast infinite universe. We tend to overlook that from time to time. In our process towards evolution as a human being on Earth, we chose our body, our family, our place of birth, and our name and our lessons from the path that we take tailored made for us. That's not all. I understand a lot of people have shared that I should have phrased my content differently, and I accept responsibility and articulate my speech in a proper manner, and so on and so forth. Basically, like very.
I'm telling you, she just
very symbolic. It sounds
sorry. I like I said, I'm not defending her by saying that she's not a racist, but I really think she's just dumb. And then, okay lah. I mean, Instagram. Okay, I thought the boom on the whole thing was Instagram remove her blue tick. That's like, you know, like a lot of articles they wrote, and they're like, oh, Instagram responded by removing the blue tick, which is to verify that you are like a public figure or celebrity account, which I thought
just because she's like she made a bad comment doesn't mean she's not a celebrity, right? I don't know. I'm not even gonna go in there lah. But okay, to me, she has really gotten the punishment already. Like all her endorsement like withdrew, and then from what I'm reading, she sounds quite self-absorbed. So like if you are so self-absorbed, anything that happened can be taken in a very twisted way. So I don't even know if it matters at all. But I guess this let people know that this kind of behavior is not accepted socially lah. So if there's any takeaway, it's that. But for her, you know, she's gonna be her. It's just gonna be like that.
I totally agree with you, and I think like let's just let the matter rest lah. I mean, people are pulling up like old footage of her throwing glasses at. I think she was drunk and misbehaving like 3 years ago. I mean, I would say let the matter rest. I'm just curious though, as someone who has a voice in Singapore and be like, if you saw some like a fellow, I don't know, like actor, actress person media personality write something like that, would you have publicly called them out on social media the way Henry Golding did?
I don't know lah. This question is is a very good question, and because like there's one side where it's like just stay out of everything, then there's the other side where it's like wherever you get more power, you get more responsibility.
Yeah.
And we do have a little bit of power, and sometimes I ask myself like, do I have a responsibility to basically use that for so-called social good lah? It sounds like justice and everything, but to me, like I feel that yes, like we should use our influence. There is a responsibility along with our influence, but I also feel that like make sure you know what you're saying, make sure you research and study enough. So like for me, like even like the Blackout Tuesday yesterday, everybody, because it's so easy, I just put a blank screen and then you put a hashtag and then you put it on and then you're like, oh, part of the movement. But to me, I didn't do it because like I really sort of made a pact with myself that unless I'm very clear, I've done my research and understand something clearly, otherwise I will not make a single noise because I don't even know I'm doing what. Just because people say then. So I can't do that anymore lah. So like today, like even after today, I read like maybe 5 articles, watched like 5 videos. I still don't feel like I fully grasped what's happening. Yeah. I still need to understand what racism means. And if there's any takeaway from this whole thing is that like we are very clueless about this problem. We don't really know. Yeah. First of all, what really is the problem? We have to find it out. The second thing is that what do we want to achieve at the end of the tunnel? We don't know that either. Like there's so many articles, but there's so little articles about like what they are trying to achieve. Like specifically, like the Hong Kong protest, they have like 6 things they want to get. I couldn't even find like what is this whole protest about. There is a general like goal in the future. Like no more systematic violence and all that stuff. I understand that, and I think that's great. But I think it takes a lot of effort to find that, and even to really fully understand it. And I think it can be simplified even further for like the layman, like dumb people like me.
There's a piece called A Vision for Black Lives, which sort of lays out 6 demands and 40 corresponding policy recommendations that helps to paint a better picture of what this whole movement is about. Yeah. So I think we can share that. I just asked that like as a personal question also because I think in Singapore, like a lot of people have been posting that black screen. I actually personally didn't either. I guess that's why we are friends. But mine was mainly because I actually thought I read a lot about it and had my thoughts about it the day before, which is a Monday. So I didn't post a black screen, but I posted a night scene of Singapore and I just talked about it. Not really deeply because I cannot claim to understand it. I just know that in Singapore, I've been seeing a bit snarky stories by certain people calling out other people, not as hardcore and as direct as Henry Golding's, but basically making snarky comments like, do people even know what racism is? Like, all these people just jumping on the bandwagon, which... so I just wanted to know your thoughts on that. And I didn't post a black screen either. It doesn't mean that we... are not standing for something. Although, interestingly, also
it actually means we are not standing for something lah. But it's because we don't know enough. I feel, at least for me for me, I am not standing because I need to really understand it, and I don't understand it now, and I don't feel confident standing out. Of course, I'm against racism, but there's still so many things I need to learn.
In the US, people like Ellen DeGeneres, for example, have been really given some flack because she hasn't posted a black screen and things like that. Yeah, so I think in Singapore, we just don't have that culture of like public figures or media personalities have to be activists. But in America, if you are not an activist as a public figure, you are given shit lah, because it's like you're supposed to use your voice for good.
I want to end off with like one question.
Yes.
Like, okay, there is racism in Singapore for sure. I've also heard from my minority ethnic group friends that they have experienced racism in their own way. But like, can you please help me understand it further, like in Singapore especially, like where it's home? Like what is the kind of racism that you feel like you are affected by? And I would really love to hear that story. And do you think there's racism in Singapore? I would like to hear.
Please give us your opinions. I mean, I think that there's a lot more that needs to be understood. And of course, we don't understand the entirely Black Lives Matter movement, but in Singapore,
I will find out.
Yeah, we will. Okay. Cool. Oh, quite a lot.
It's like slightly heavy today.
Yeah.
But it's good, it's necessary progress. The fact that like even when people are just hopping on the bandwagon, right? If there's any good that comes from it, it's that there's just more awareness, like more people hearing about it. And like people like me, if I hear about it, then I will be interested to find out. Okay, done. No more nagging.
Okay. Yeah, you are very uncle leh.
Yeah, very uncle. I know I'm very uncle.
Okay, answer the uncle's question on racism and we'll catch you all next week.
All right. See you next week. Bye.
See you.